Welcome to the Ohh Show with Orlana Darkins Drewery, your connection to events, topical interests, issues, and the movers and shakers in our world, and the opportunity to learn things that make you say, oh. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with a phenomenal talent, Nikki Porter. She's not only blessed with an incredible voice, but also an exceptional gift for songwriting. Nikki has touched many, many hearts through her powerful gospel music journey. And today, we're going to dive deeper into her journey and the impact she's making in the gospel music industry. Nikki, thank you for joining me and welcome to the Ohh Show.
Yo, oh.
Now, for this interview, say that again.
I said, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So for this interview, do you want to be called Nicole or Nikki?
Nikki is fine.
All right, cool.
All my friends call me Nikki, so you know.
Right.
All your viewers are exactly. They're my friends. They gotta, you know.
Exactly. I love it. So let's dive right in. When did you first realize you had a passion for singing? And was there a specific moment when you knew this was your calling?
Wow, that's a good question. I want to answer that by saying I think I first realized, according to my dad, you know how parents will tell you stories that you don't remember. But I think my musical passion started when I was just, a toddler, maybe 2. And both my parents say when I got in the walker, anytime I would hear music, instead of walking, I'm dancing. And my dad played in an African drum ensemble, and there's a picture of me. I had to be, again, like 2 or 3, and I have bongos. And they noticed that they would give the baby some bongos, and I'd be playing bongos in tempo. And so that musical passion started very young. I remember when I was about 7, maybe 6 or 7, fast forward, we'd been a part of angel choir and just kind of like growing up in the church. That's what you do. You get your little robe, you sing a little angel choir. But I remember listening on repeat to a song, an old album. The name of the song was I've Got a Long Way to Go to Be Like the Lord. And I would listen to this song. It's old traditional gospel on repeat. And I started to sing along with it. Well, they actually gave me that solo in church. That was my first solo. And I felt something. I felt a connection with that music. And I would say from that point on, getting into youth choir where I knew, and our youth choir was good. Second Baptist, shout out to Second Baptist in Penn Hills. Our youth choir was good. And I started to get leads in that. And I really felt a connection with that. And I just knew that's what I was supposed to do.
So I mentioned, in addition to being a phenomenal singer, you're also a songwriter. And songwriting is such a personal and vulnerable process. How did you discover that gift, and what inspires the music you write?
Wow, that's a great question. To me, all music tells a story. And, any songwriter will say, what are you trying to convey? What emotion are you trying to evoke? Like even dance music, and I have like this deep plot, but you're trying to move your people. You're trying to get them to experience an emotion. So for me, with my passion being gospel music, it started probably in my teen years. I would say creative writing was something I was leaning into, whether it was poetry or short stories. I ended up in AP English in high school, taking drama classes and stuff, into Duquesne University, where I was part of the Red Masters acting troupe. So to me, acting, telling a story from, say, drama club and Civic Light Opera mini stars as a teenager, performing, these opportunities were telling stories. And so it just made sense that songwriting was birthed from that. And so I used to just sit at the piano. I played piano as a teen, growing up learning piano, and just what chords or what melody creates this emotion, and what story can I weave with it? And any songwriter will also tell you, like, you know, there are things that hit the cutting floor, like, well, that wasn't a good one. But through all of this experimentation, here comes a melody, here comes some chords, here comes a story, a narrative that merges together and becomes something really, really beautiful. So I would have to say my tween to teen years is when I discovered that gift. And the inspiration is, for me, could be from the Psalms. It could be I hear something playing like a melody that repeats in my head, or there's a theme from the Bible. And because it's gospel music, there's always this narrative of God's goodness and faithfulness. So I really see that as the inspiration for my songwriting.
So there's a lot of people who, you know, they say they believe that they're songwriters. How do you know you're actually talented to be a songwriter? Because I've heard some songs and I'm like, you're not a songwriter. So how do you know for real, like, this is a gift and I'm not?
Yeah, I definitely hear you. I think it's really people. You know, we have listening parties and listening circles for a reason. And I have bounced my music off people, collaborators sometimes, or even just co-songwriters and friends, trying out at church, trying it out on bigger stages. And I really look at the reaction of the people, trying it out online. That's really the way to go now. Even before you get to a live show, try it out online and see, you know, like, you have to copyright at least the first version. But if you're getting good traction from people, you know, I've had people say, this song is a hit, or wow, I really enjoyed that song and spoke to me. That is when I think, you know, you have something. And you may have to tweak it. Sometimes I don't like when my producer tweaks things. You know, it can be personal, but if you trust your producer, if you're not self-producing, I like to have another producer because, you know, I can have something all in my heart and all in my mind, but you need other ears, like iron sharpens iron. That's what the Bible says. It's not talking about songwriting, but I think you can apply that if there is something that needs tweaked, another producer or songwriter can help you tweak that, help you get to a place in a song that you can grow your gift in and go beyond just, you know, your ears and your immediate family that thinks it's a smash hit when you need to try that out on some other people.
Right. I was going to say, don't always go to your family first.
Yeah. They're the first. I mean, it's kind of like, come here, listen to this. They got to be the first stop, but you need to go beyond your
right. Yeah, go beyond.
Yes.
So what advice would you give to someone who wants to make their mark in the gospel music industry, but, you know, they're at this time in their career where they're not signed to a label?
Things have really changed. I'm independent. There are so many artists that are award-winning artists who are independent. And it's really exciting to see how things have changed. So making your own noise. This is something that I've said to young artists that I've mentored, vocal coached. I'm like, make your own noise. Don't wait for an engagement. Don't wait for a call. Do something yourself to put your name out there. So there's, you know, all this branding and, you know, image management. You can do that on your own as an independent artist. And so come up with who you are, your narrative. What is your bio? What is your, you know, gather all your experience and tell your story. Story is very important because when you have an interview like this, what is your story? Who are you? What is your genre? Where did you come from? Have all that prepared. And that goes across the board. That's in sports and entertainment. That's in music. That's even in education for your curriculum vitae. Like, tell your story, what you've done, who you are. So I would say make your own noise. Do that. Have your social media where you're either singing on it, you're getting pictures and clips of your performances. You know, people will say, where can I catch you next? Follow my social media and I will talk about it. You know, I will invite people to it. So I think that branding, image management, publicizing yourself, and then performing. If you don't have performances, make some, throw a show. my best friend's daughter is a performer. She's an artist. And I was just telling her this, and she's starting to produce her own shows where she's doing summer festivals. She's a visual artist. She's a singer, a recording artist. She is a professional in the field of mental health. So she's using these opportunities to perform, and she's getting bookings, and her name is getting out there. So I think creating your own artistry is really important. And sometimes people pick you up from that. Sometimes you just continue to be an independent artist. You might get a distribution deal. You might get a management booking deal, which I've secured the latter. And so I think making yourself known is really, really important.
Now, we talked about being a vocalist, being a songwriter. Are there other roles in the industry that people can explore if they have a love for gospel music but aren't performing in the spotlight?
Absolutely. I think, even taking from the record labels, they have a whole layer of people as we talk about marketing and promotions. They talk about, talent, whether it's procuring the talent, managing the talent. There's also coaching. So I am a vocal coach in addition to being a singer and songwriter, minister of music, where I do have a roster of professionals of all ages who perform regularly, record regularly. And there have been some that come down through the ages where they have come to me to work on a certain aspect of their art. I just had an artist who got a $25,000 grant for his art, and part of his grant is to secure his vocal coach. So, hi. So we were just talking about performing techniques. And so you might have a coach for stage performance. You might have a coach for, widening your range, broadening your repertoire. So there are publicity. I mentioned that being a publicist, as you know, we're not doing much if nobody knows who we are, that we need someone to help us tell our story. So I wouldn't get locked into just the performing. There's the songwriting, there's the engineering, there's vocal producing, there's overall producing. There's, if you want to be a musician to accompany, whether you're studio or live, the gamut is it's a wide range for it. And find where you fit and maximize that.
Now, there's an upcoming concert that is in tribute to you and your musical accomplishments. Share with us the details of the event and what we can expect from this musical experience.
I'm so excited. I've been on staff at East Minster Presbyterian Church for 20 years as minister of music, and I was promoted to head of staff in 2013. So to celebrate, the whole church is going to be singing. It's called East Minster Sings. And it will be held on Saturday, October 26th at 6:00 p.m. at East Minster Church, 215 North Highland Avenue, Pittsburgh, PA, 15206. And like I said, from the youngest, we have kindergartners who are going to be singing, to the oldest. Our oldest is 91. And so from the oldest to the youngest, we're going to have everyone singing, our children, our youth, our adult. And at East Minster, we're diverse. We are intentionally cross-cultural and are that. So we will be singing everything from classical music to contemporary gospel, traditional gospel, and anthems, hymns. And it's going to be an exciting time. And we do have some special guests, some of those who came from East Minster's music ministry: David Bowens, Kia Dorsey, David Bruton. I've had the opportunity to vocal coach, mentor, and teach all three of them. Dr. Herb Jones, who is my big brother in music and was once 40 years ago, bass soloist and section leader at East Minster Presbyterian Church. So that comes full circle. And the one and only, my spiritual mom, Pastor Barbara Mann, is going to come and bless us in her own way. And it's just going to be a wonderful musical celebration. And I'm really grateful.
And that is so beautiful that your church came together with this idea of, you know what, we're going to celebrate you and create this event. I don't really know of many churches that do that.
It's a blessing. Back in the Black church days, you have the old school appreciation services. It's not exactly that. In white Presbyterian churches, you just don't do that. It's very culturally different. But I was really blessed with the opportunity when you said, "Hey, you're kind of turning 20, East Minster style. What would you like to do?" And I said, "Let's do a concert." I've actually had this idea for the whole church to sing. It's been in my heart for a while, but it didn't quite fit at the different events that we do. And so when I said, let's do a concert, and I said, I want everything singing, everything in this church singing. The pastor was like, that's a great idea, and assembled a team. And I told everyone in the music department, and they were really, really excited and got on board. So I want to steer the attention away from it. It's about me.
Right.
But I want to point that attention to like what the Lord has done through this music ministry. And that's why the whole department is singing.
And your pastor is actually in the production. He's playing the guitar, right?
Yes. Pastor Aaron Teeter is a wonderful guitarist, and he'll be playing in the concert.
Nice. So, Nikki, every artist has people who inspire them. Who were or are some of your musical influences growing up, and how did they shape your style and approach to gospel music?
I grew up listening to Ella Fitzgerald, Shirley Caesar. These are the ones that my dad said, he kind of saw the gift. You're going to be preaching, you're going to be teaching and singing. Here's what you need to listen to. So I listened to those artists from early days. And then as I began to choose my own style and repertoire, I actually listened to the Clark sisters. And it's so fun because I had the opportunity to tell Twinkie Clark that. And she was just so blessed and impressed to hear that. But I've sung with at least 3 of the Clark sisters over the years, and it's been really great. So they were my influence. Patti LaBelle was my influence. Yolanda Adams, as I started to really solo, I sang all of her repertoire. I remember a friend from Pentecostal Temple said, there's an artist that you need to sing her music, and it was Yolanda Adams. Before the world knew who Yolanda Adams was, I was singing her music. And so, it goes from Tremaine Hawkins to Vicki Winans to even Sandy Patty. It's like, I'm heavily influenced by many, and I have had the opportunity to sing varying styles, whether it's classically or jazz, and you can hear all those influences coming out.
Yeah, when you mentioned Ella Fitzgerald and Shirley Caesar, I was like, okay, yes, I do hear that combination in music.
That's quite a combination, right?
It's like a little jazzy, but you got the gospel in there. I'm like, that makes sense.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. So being a gospel artist requires a lot of dedication and time. How do you balance your career with your personal life and spiritual well-being?
Wow, that's a loaded question because I don't always get it right. I've been trying to do this for years. And I remember, especially when I got married and had my son, it was just kind of like asking women in the industry, how do you balance this? I remember something that Lady Deb Moncrief said to me as I interviewed these women in ministry. And she said, I always included my children when they were young. I brought them to gigs and shows. I would talk to them and even ask them about opportunities. And family should not be apart from the music. They should really be on a journey. And so my son growing from from the womb, right? And as a baby, I've taken him a little bit of everywhere. And my mom jokes and says, that boy has been everywhere. And he really has. And so now with him being a performer, he's already been on stage, on the road, in the air, having the opportunity to see behind the scenes and enjoy being backstage with mom. And so I would say that's one, take your children along. As a wife, I would say talk to your spouse, your significant other about the opportunities and include them. Again, they should not be apart from, but a part of the journey. And I'm happy to say my husband supports and is everywhere that he can be. for me, and vice versa, whether it's, preaching for him or whatever we support each other. So I would say support one another, have self-care days. I love going to the track and to the gym, to the nail salon. I love those items of self-care, getting together with friends or watching my favorite shows. I think it's important to balance your time. And when I skew too far, sometimes I've got to say my self-care is not where it should be. And that is most importantly, the word and prayer. And so I'm an auditory learner. I like to listen to the word. So while I'm on the track, I might have some scripture playing in my ears, some worship music or playlist that I like that encourages me playing in my ears. And I think it's important, first of all, to spend that time with the Lord. And I know when I'm too busy and I'm depleted, there's not enough God time. And so I've got to get back to ground one. As the Lord Jesus said in Revelation, get back to your first love and make sure you're on your knees and in worship. Because I can't lead anybody in worship where I haven't been. I've got to be in worship to say, come on, let's worship the Lord.
Now, if there's one message or feeling you hope people take away from listening to your music, what would that be? And where can we find your music?
I always want people to connect with God through my music. I remember there was a show. Actually, this was a show that you booked me on. This was back at the Bayham years ago. And I don't remember it to be a Christian show in particular, but I remember a lady coming to me afterwards in tears, and she said, I felt God when you sing. She was like, don't sing anything else. You are supposed to sing for God. And I was like, wow, I didn't know this lady. And that to me has always resonated with me, that I want people to experience God when I sing. And the lyrics, the worship, the posture, the inspiration, that's what I want to leave with people. Know God, enjoy him, worship him. And you can find my music on wherever digital music is available. Apple Music, Spotify, all those good places.
And once again, as we close out, tell us where we should be this Saturday.
This Saturday, October 26th, 6 o'clock p.m. Be nowhere else than East Minster Presbyterian Church, 250 North Highland Avenue in Pittsburgh, 15206, where we will be celebrating in concert 20 years of music ministry at East Minster. East Minster sings. Everybody will be singing. So make sure you're there.
Nikki Porter, thank you so much for sharing your journey and sharing information about this exciting concert event in tribute to you. This Saturday, October 26th, I will definitely be in the house. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you. Oh, thanks for having me.
And thank you all for listening in and watching the Ohh Show with Orlana Darkins Drewery. Until next time, keep shining.